Imagine there's a version of you. She's magnetic, poised, unapologetic. But here's the part that you don't say out loud. That version of you, you just don't know how to be her. Not because you don't want to, but because somewhere along the way, you learned to dim yourself. Maybe you were always the nice one, the quiet one, the one who made herself small so everyone else around her can feel comfortable. Maybe you've always felt invisible being in rooms full of loud and confident people, and a part of you started to believe that that's just not who you are. Or maybe you have tried to take up space and you've tried to put yourself out there, but there's this inner voice within you that's saying, who are you to act like that? Who are you to be bold? If any of this feels familiar to you, this video is for you. Because real confidence isn't about pretending to be fearless. It's not about faking it or forcing yourself to be someone you're not. It's about unlearning everything that told you to shrink and allowing yourself to rebuild your confidence from a place of power, stability, safety, and trust. It's about regaining your confidence so you can start speaking with more assertiveness, speaking in your truth, but also speaking in your power. Today, I'm going to be walking you through a 3-part process to help you start taking up space. Here are all the video chapters, and you can also find the timestamps in the description below. And watching these videos are great, but the real transformation happens when you're integrating, when you're writing about it, when you're journaling about it. That's why I include free worksheets for every single one of my videos. These worksheets include in-depth journaling prompts as well as exercises to help you integrate everything you're learning in this video so you can start living your dream life. If you would like to have access to the full portal where you get full access to all of my worksheets, the link to sign up is down below. Before we dive into the plan, let's talk about understanding your programming. So, where did this unconscious reaction of shrinking, where did it come from? Because let's be real, not a lot of us have issues around realizing our potential. We struggle because deep down, we don't see ourselves as someone who's allowed to be that girl. That confident, magnetic, successful, bold version of you, she already exists. But over time, we have learned to build an invisible glass ceiling. And that's not reality. It's actually your own self-image. So what exactly is your self-image? Your self-image is a collection of your own thoughts, perceptions of who you think you are. So when you're looking in the mirror, what do you see? What do you feel? That is your self-image. It's an internal story of who you think you are and what you can be, do, or have. And here's the thing, your brain always works in alignment with your inner self-image. And it will always keep your actions aligned to the same story that your self-concept believes you are. So, for example, if your self-image says, I'm not good enough to be a leader, or I'm someone who never gets attention, you'll unconsciously hold yourself back to stay consistent with your identity. And it's not your fault. Your identity has been formed by your family members, your culture, your upbringing, and so many other different factors. So let's dive into them. The first thing is generational trauma. You weren't born believing that you have to be perfect, you have to be pretty, you have to be successful in order to be confident and powerful. All of that stuff was taught, and these were passed down from systems and narratives of people who literally profited off of women playing small. You've been fed a lifetime of conditioning. You have to be a certain size to be confident. You have to look a certain way to be desirable. You have to earn a certain amount to be respected. You can't be too much. You can't be too high maintenance. You can't be too loud. You can't be too powerful. And as women, it seems like we're always in a race to see how small we can make ourselves so we don't draw attention. And that is what makes us good girls. If this sounds familiar, all of these rules are rooted from patriarchy, cultural rules, racism, and classism. It's designed to keep power in the hands of the few. Because when women, especially marginalized women, start realizing that they don't need to wait for permission, that they don't need to wait for a green light to start stepping into their power, that's when they have full control over their own story, their own narrative, and ultimately their own life. We carry 14 generations worth of trauma. That means we're still holding unconscious beliefs that our grandmother had or our great-great-grandmother had about the kind of woman we are and the kind of power that we're allowed to have. The second reason why women tend to keep themselves small is because of authenticity issues when they were a kid. We all once started off as crazy, brilliant, charming, funny, wild kids. That was just part of our nature. When you wear your sparkly purple shirt everywhere and you're essentially just showing it off to the world. Or when you dance in the middle of the living room like it's your own personal stage. And you just didn't care who was watching. That was you in your fullest expression. But somewhere along the way, we learned that it wasn't safe to act like that. When we get bullied, when we get a side eye, when we get some sort of comment, when a teacher laughs at you, every time you receive some sort of negative response when you're at your fullest expression, you start to shrink and you start to close yourself out from the world more and more and more. So your nervous system, trying to protect you, told you that, okay, I'm being judged for this. I need to hold myself back. I'm being too much. So then hiding feels safer than being yourself, no matter how unhappy you are, hiding behind the shadows. And the last reason is huge reliance on external validation. So if you were either constantly scrutinized by your parents or if you were constantly being complimented, that also makes us highly reliant on external validation. This fear of visibility that we have not only comes from being highly scrutinized as a kid, but also highly praised. Now, isn't that a funny thing? So if you were constantly evaluated as a kid, you would think that every action you took, every decision that you made, everything you wore, literally any action you took was performative. If you were constantly being scrutinized or praised for every little thing that you did, that life feels like you're on the spotlight all the time and you're being constantly judged for everything that you did. So your internal narrative is, my worth is based on how people respond to me. So now you feel like life is a constant performance. You literally walk through life waiting for permission, waiting for someone to validate that you're good enough. And you've essentially outsourced your self-trust to other people's opinions. But all in all, the truth is that confidence is something that doesn't need to be built. You don't need to add more, but it's actually a process of letting go. It's a process of unlearning and unraveling all of the reasons, all of the conditions that you think you need to have, because you have full permission right now. So let's dive into the plan. Phase 1 is release. I truly believe that before we do the actions, it is so important to dive into the foundation first. We need to take out all the weeds, we need to take the roots out of the weeds, and we need to work on our own unconscious mind first. That's why I truly believe that confidence isn't something that you fake. You don't fake confidence until you make it. You never heal what is beneath the surface. So the first point is that powerful women who trigger you the most are your greatest teachers. You know that moment when you cringe at somebody's post? Like, why would she post that? Or when you see someone your age absolutely killing it, and suddenly you start feeling jealous, small, insignificant. Or when a woman is confidently dressed, showing a little bit of skin, you are kind of icked out. Why would you wear that? Let me tell you something. That reaction, that feeling has nothing to do with the person you're judging. But in fact, it's all a mirror of who you believe you are allowed to be. Maybe deep down, you don't believe that you can be that confident. Maybe you don't think you deserve to rise that fast and be successful. Maybe you don't believe that a woman like you, insert her age, upbringing, whatever conditions you have, you don't believe that kind of woman deserves to be bold, deserves to step into her power. This is why triggers are your BFF. It shows you the exact places where you don't believe you deserve to take up space. That's why in this step, I want you to particularly look out for women that trigger the living out of you, because it will show you your blind spots. And it will reveal to you what are some of the limiting beliefs that you believe you need to have in order to step into your confidence. Now, the next step to this is identify your conditions. Now, we all have conditions about what we need to do, what we need to achieve, what we need to have in order to be confident. You've heard it all before. I need to be pretty in order to be confident. I need to have a successful job in order to be confident. I need to have the best wardrobe to be confident. And we can name a million reasons just at the top of our heads. But guess what? All of those conditions are complete lies. They keep you stuck in the waiting room of your own life, constantly prepping for that main character moment that's never going to come. And from the first step, you can easily find these conditions through the very extremely triggering women that I told you to find. You do not need to earn your right to take up space. You do not need to prove to anyone that you are worthy. And the third point is to poke holes in your lies that you have attached your confidence, your self-worth, your entire value to. These so-called requirements that you have been so attached to, they're not facts. They're not real. They're all a part of your programming, your conditioning, your stories. But there are people out there with the same conditions, being confident anyway, taking up space anyway, speaking in front of millions of people anyway. So start asking yourself questions to break the spell. Who told me that I need to have this in order to be powerful? Where did I learn that confidence is something that I have to earn? What if confidence is something that I can claim right now without needing external validation or permission from anyone else? So let's take a specific example. A lot of people believe that they need to be pretty in order to be confident. So let's poke holes at that. Confidence isn't born from appearance, it's born from energy. True confidence starts from within. It starts with self-trust, self-love, authenticity. That is what people are drawn to. Another reason why that's a lie is because beauty is so subjective. But power, confidence, is universal. What one person finds pretty, another person might overlook. But confidence literally transcends. It speaks louder than features ever could. Another reason why that's a lie is confidence creates beauty, not the other way around. Do you ever notice when someone really taps into who they are, when they're truly at their fullest expression, they're usually people that you want to be around with? So here's the deep invitation. Start finding your own evidence around all of the conditions that you believe you need to have in order to be confident, in order to step into your power. Because confidence isn't about having it all. It's realizing that you are already enough as you are. How I also like to find evidence is I actually ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT can help you brainstorm all of the different reasons why your conditions that you've listed are complete lies. So use ChatGPT to your fullest advantage. Now, after you've dug out all the weeds, now it's time for phase 2, rewire. This part is about finding your new truth. The very first point that I have is support women and celebrate other women. This was one of the biggest shifts that I've made, and I didn't even realize that this was even significant at all. But learning to genuinely want women to win is going to be what makes you and allows you to be powerful. Now, I'm not just saying, oh, just give a like or a thumbs up or just say, you go girl. That is not enough. I am saying genuinely wanting women to win. This genuine, deep rooting of them taking up space, doing their thing, making bold moves. For the longest time, I actually had a lot of male role models, but I didn't have any female role models. And yes, of course, that's okay, but the reason why it's so important to have female role models in power is because as women, we've had an entirely different journey around stepping into our power. But I realized that as a woman, our journey is completely different. And men will never understand the generations of misogyny that we fought through, the amount of times that we had to keep ourselves small to feel safe. As women, we have been shaped by different roles as men. And that's just the truth. We have been told as women for generations, we were told to act a certain way, to be soft, to play small, to not draw too much attention. So when you see a woman being unapologetically herself, despite receiving scrutiny, despite being judged, she owns her power like it's hers. And she doesn't care what you have to think. And for you to experience that in a woman is incredibly magical, because the more you root for her to win, the more you support yourself and you give yourself to step into your power and to have that level of power in your own life. She is showing you what's possible, and she's literally telling your own subconscious mind, look, it's safe to shine, even despite not being perfect. It's possible to be powerful and soft, to be bold and kind. It's safe to take up space like that. If your first reaction to seeing a powerful woman is discomfort, comparison, envy, even an ick, that's your conditioning flaring up. That's your body saying, this doesn't feel familiar. But unfamiliar doesn't mean unsafe. All it means is that this is something new to explore. The second point is watch women defy the conditions that you were taught. If you've never seen a woman like you, your age, your size, your financial background, your upbringing, your race, if you've never seen a woman like that fully embody and live in her power, it makes sense that stepping into yours feels foreign and it feels almost illegal. Growing up, I've never met a powerful Asian woman who was entrepreneurial, who had big dreams for herself, who actually went for them. And the one person that I knew in my life, she was constantly being scrutinized by my family. So that conditioning in my mind is that as an Asian woman, I am not allowed to make my own money. As an Asian woman, I am not allowed to stand in my power and go for what I want, or else I would be scrutinized, or else I'll be told off and no one would love me. So I internalized those beliefs, and I had unconsciously internalized that I'm not allowed to be powerful. So when I was in my early 20s, when I saw women that looked exactly like me at my age, making big moves and achieving massive success, in the back of my head, I was like, that's unfair. And I would feel deeply triggered because I was also very envious of the life that they created for themselves. This was a trigger that I eventually had to deal with, and releasing it has given me so much permission to make YouTube videos, to show up and be bold. So representation matters, not only just in the media, but in your internal subconscious mind as well. That's how you rewire. That's how you reprogram yourself to be more confident. That's how you reprogram your internal world to say, even if I don't meet the conditions that society is telling me that I need to meet, I can still be powerful. Maybe I can be powerful because I don't meet those needs. I don't have all of those conditions. So start finding female role models that remind you of yourself, that have had the same upbringing as you, who has had very similar life paths as you. Not just the ones that feel aspirational, but the ones who challenge and trigger you on what you've been told is possible for you. It doesn't have to be cultural, but what were some of the things that you wrote down in phase 1? And after you find these female role models, keep watching their videos, start absorbing their content, and watch them fully step into their power. The more you see powerful women, and the more you actually root for powerful women to win, the more you give yourself permission to win. If you don't know where to start, if you don't know where to find these role models, ChatGPT again is an amazing resource and can help you find the perfect role model based on your conditions. And the last point to this phase is that this is a slow reclaiming process. Do not force yourself to change and transform overnight because that's not going to work. It's slow and it's gentle. So when you see a woman being in her power, don't shrink. Study her, celebrate her. Let her presence expand what is possible for you. Because a powerful woman isn't just bold. She's deeply self-led. She knows what she wants. She speaks up, she sets boundaries, she's silent when she wants, but her silence is also powerful. She walks with an energy saying that she belongs here and she knows it. And that woman is you all along. And you're not building her up from scratch. You're essentially here to remember her. So let's start rooting for each other as women, rooting for each other to win. And the more that you step into your power and confidence, the more permission you give other women to do the same. And the last phase is experiment. We can do all of the inner work in the world, the journaling, the meditation, the visualization, but the greatest teacher in life is experience. None of it actually lands until you actually go out there and live it. Real transformation, significant changes don't just happen in your journal. It happens when you speak up in a conversation. Even when your voice shakes. It happens when you press record and you film a video, even if you think you look awkward. It happens when you hold a firm boundary around someone who usually walks all over you. And your heart is pounding, but you do it anyway. That's exposure, and that's when things truly shift. But what often gets in the way is that we believe we need to heal everything first before we go out there. So we stall. We hide behind all these self-development books. We hide behind watching these YouTube videos, and we don't actually expose ourselves to experiencing opportunities where we can step into our confidence. But that's just perfectionism, and it's all hiding behind a mask. So this leads me to exposure therapy. Exposure therapy is not about pushing yourself right at the deep end. You do not have to talk in front of millions of people tomorrow, but it's about slowly helping you unlearn the fear of being seen, and relearn the safety that it's okay to be confident. It's okay to step into your power. Exposure helps teach the body that it's safe. So before you dive into exposure therapy, I want you to think about, what kind of woman do I want to be, and what kind of life do I want to have? Is there someone that you look up to? Not because she's perfect, but because she embodies something that you want for yourself. Maybe she dresses like she walks on the runway every single day, even on a Tuesday. She wakes up in her dream apartment in the city, sips matcha lattes, runs her own successful six-figure business, and walks out the door like the world is her stage. She's what people call high maintenance, but honestly, you so dig that. You so want to be like that. But if there's a part of you that craves to live like that, you're meant to be her. You're meant to have that. But maybe it's not in your reality right now. Maybe every day you just wear baggy t-shirts and baggy jeans and a messy hair bun, but baby steps is about actually looking online and seeing what clothes you would want to start wearing. Wearing a little bit of earrings, doing your hair, washing your face, doing a little bit of mascara, and it's that every baby step you take and exposing yourself to slowly transition into that woman, it becomes a lot easier. It feels more possible. So exposure therapy is about doing more things that get you attention. You actually want to be an attention seeker. Start wearing that dress, that big loud coat, and get double takes from people. And the more that you put yourselves in situations where you're exposed, you're vulnerable, you're almost susceptible to rejection, the more that you put yourself in this environment, the more you're going to feel comfortable taking up space in a conversation, stating those boundaries, making YouTube videos, and we can all find ways to practice this. So let's apply that to you. Maybe public speaking makes you want to disappear. Maybe you start sweating when you think about hitting record. Maybe your mind goes blank when your boss asks you to do something. Maybe you try to talk about a really important story in front of 5 people in the group, but you end up shrinking and you end up shortening your story. It's not a flaw, it's your nervous system that's acting up, trying to keep you safe based on old narratives and based on your old experiences. So exposure therapy is doing one small thing every day that stretches your confidence and stretches your comfort level. So every day, I want you to do one thing that stretches your confidence. If you want to start a YouTube channel, but you feel very afraid of talking in front of a camera, maybe your first step is to create a voiceover. Maybe your exposure is walking into a room and not apologizing for existing, or going to that one event that you keep talking yourself out of, or having a hard conversation without sugarcoating the truth. It might not look like much on the outside, but on the inside, you're slowly shifting your narrative and saying to yourself, I can survive this. It's not too bad. So, of course, this step is really scary, but always return back to your why. Why do you want to change this? Why do you want to be more confident? Is it because you're tired of being walked all over all the time? Is it because you're done shrinking in relationships, in your career, in your entire life? Is it because you're watching other people take up space while you're in the sidelines watching them succeed? You're doing this because you deserve a big, amazing life. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to go out and claim what you want. And that starts with being comfortable taking up space. That starts with claiming that you are a powerful being. The longer you delay this very powerful version of yourself to make an impact, to do big things, to get that raise, to get that promotion, to actually live out your biggest dreams. Take baby steps. Do not take big, massive strides. When we expect ourselves to show up like it's day 5,000 when it's only our day 1, we automatically set ourselves up for disappointment and we burn out really quickly. But when we start honoring those baby steps, the first video, the awkward boundary, the shaky, this is who I am, That's where momentum begins, and we want to keep rolling and we want to keep building up that momentum slowly. That's where your self-image is going to slowly catch up and build with you. And you want your subconscious mind to be on board. So we have reached the end of this video. I want you to know this. There's nothing wrong with struggling to take up space and struggling to be confident. Confidence, as much as you think, isn't something that you're born with or without. Always been inherently within you. Yes, it might be uncomfortable. It might feel awkward, a little painful at first, because you spent years learning how to be small. Of course, when you step out of that, it's gonna feel like you're rebelling. But I am giving you permission right now to start rebelling and to start stepping into your power. So here's your next step. Pick one thing that you're gonna do that is going to make you feel exposed. Whatever it is, make it small, make it doable, and make it yours. I am so proud of you that you're even watching this video. That's already part of the work. And if you want to take this a step further, again, I have a workbook to help you integrate everything that you're learning here, as well as helping you dive into an action plan, and the link is down below. I love you so much, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Bye.